Day two is in the book at the World Cup. Both other host nations get their tournaments underway. Canada underwhelms. The U.S. overperforms? Question mark. We'll get into all of it. So let's get after it. Welcome in to World Cup tonight. Nice recap show of what we've seen day two here at the World Cup. Currently coming to you from a hotel in the greater Toronto area after attending today's 1-1 draw for Canada against Bosnia and Herzegovina. We'll get into that game first since that was the first game of the day, I should say. Very interesting game to see how that played out. Canada did not look the best. I will say that quite easily. They did not look great, and it wasn't a good start at all for them. This Bosnia team, we joke about Arsenal and Atletico Madrid just playing terrible football and winning with it and just being putrid. I mean, Bosnia have drawn like their last 7 games either 0-0 or 1-1. So we kind of should have seen this coming, I guess. But Bosnia looked like the better team on the pitch the whole game. And it was just as simple as that. Canada struggled to get anything going. And it seemed like, Jesse Marsch didn't have the answers for what Bosnia was putting out. Now, yes, it did end up working for him, getting the equalizer, bringing on Kyle Larin in the 76th minute, and he scored the equalizer in the 78th. Yes, that tactically, that did work out. The rest of the game, though, didn't really work out that way for Jesse Marsch and this Canada team, as they kind of just struggled to get anything going. I thought they had a decent game on the back line. I thought Elster Johnson, Cornelius, Richie Larea, and even Luc Defourgues. I thought they all had very good games on the back line. Crépeau, obviously goalkeeper, had a good game. But it was the front, your attacking options, I just thought were mid at best, I guess I would say. Jonathan David looked lost out there today. He got hooked at the hour mark. Same with Tejan Buchanan. He just didn't look right today. Overall, though, we talked about Canada's injuries coming into this game. Obviously, no Alphonso Davies. That was a big problem. Moises Bombito, that didn't seem to be as big of a problem today, given their back line did quite well. But it feels like this team needs, Davies back. I said going into this game that Canada needed to get at least a point today, and they did. They got their first point World Cup play. But there's always the but there. This team looks like they're going to struggle the whole tournament, and they will struggle to get out of this group, it seems to be. I know they still have Qatar to play. They're going to probably end on 4 points. I would assume they're going to get a win against Qatar, but I know we haven't seen Switzerland yet, but I have a feeling Switzerland will blow them out of the water. And for Bosnia, I thought they had a very good game today. They controlled the game like they always do. Like I said, it ended up in a draw like their past 7 or 8 games have. Whether that be a 1-1 or a 0-0 draw. I mean, I liked what I saw. That fact that potentially they can get out of the group and just make a mess of the knockout round when they face off against, somebody like Germany. And, they have them 1-1 going into penalties, something that this Bosnia team has more experience with than probably almost anybody in this, whole tournament. it is just, this was a good game backline-wise from Bosnia. They had a similar game to what the Canadian backline had. I mean, Kolasonic, Mucevenic, Katic, and Dedic all had great games. Now, we there was going to be some fluctuation in this team. There always was going to be. This was a good start for the Bosnian team. If they wanted to get out of this group, they had to get at least a point today. And, I mean, they had 3 points in their back pocket for a while in this game. And, things happen. And, obviously, it didn't go their way in the 78th minute when Kyle Aaron found the back of the net. And, again, that just happens. Again, they walked away with a point. That's better than not walking away with any. So that is going to be a major victory, I would think, for both sides today. Overall, though, even though the FIFA rankings had these teams split up by, I believe, 34 spots, I believe Bosnia's at 64 and Canada's at 30, Bosnia looked like the better team all game today. And I don't really know if there was any doubt about that. Overall, though, I left this game more impressed by this Bosnian team than I did Canada. I think Canada has a lot more questions than answers right now, and I don't think just the injuries are going to be the answer here. And who knows? Maybe come I believe June 18th is their next game, and that's the one when they play Qatar. Maybe that final game of the group stage, they come out and beat Switzerland and shock everybody and win this group. Who knows? But I think they're finally getting something going, hopefully. Again, first World Cup point feels rather large. It only took them 3 tournaments to get a point. So that is a positive. I know there was a lot more hope for this team. At the game today, I did kind of feel the disappointment coming out of this. I think people were kind of expecting this, I won't say roll over this Bosnian team, but I think people expected to win today. And obviously walking away with the draw where you struggled most of the game, people are going to leave disappointed. That is going to be a major issue going on here. Now, I will say the wins today were insane. Now, I was in almost the last row of the temporary seating on the south side, and I don't know how that translates into how it played on the field, but it just seems like the ball was carrying for much longer than it should have been, like the wind was carrying it, and that did seem to mess up some of Canada's crosses in this game. And Canada had a few good opportunities too that got cleared off the line by Bosnia. They very much had the moments to win this game. They just obviously could not convert in any of those. And maybe this changes. They're going over to Vancouver now for their next 2 games. Dome environment, climate controlled, don't have to deal with the wind. And maybe we see a different Canada team in those games. Now, I think we'll see a better Canada team against Qatar because we're not expecting Qatar to be good. But I don't really know if we expected Bosnia to be good, and they kind of rolled them in this game. And in our second game of the day, the United States walk away with a 4-1 victory over Paraguay. A game of 2 different halves is the best way to put it. The U.S. absolutely dominated the first half. Absolutely incredible. It was one of the best halves I've seen them play in a long, long time, if not ever. There was no ball misplaced, no pass missed, no shot, skied over the bar. This was a absolutely incredible first half from the United States, something I've never seen. Pulisic looked incredible. Florain Balogun had a brace, probably could have had a hat trick, potentially could have had 4 goals in the first half, depending on how things played out. It was a incredible half. Paraguay looked lost. They looked like they had no idea what they were doing. And they seemed committed to their 4-5-2. No adjustment, no nothing. They just seemed committed to it. And it is what it is. Then I I don't even know what else to say about that first half. It was truly like Paraguay had a stretch for like 2 minutes at the beginning of the game, like the first 2 minutes where I'm like, ooh, this doesn't look good. 7th minute, it's a brilliant cross into the box by Pulisic, ends up deflecting off of Babadia into the back of the net. It's an own goal, 1-0 US. Then Balogun gets a goal that's ruled off for offsides. He then scores like 3 or 4 minutes later to make it 2-0. He then makes it 3-0 right before the half. And going into that half, it really felt like anything was possible for this United States team this year. And for me, I was looking on the other side of things. Maybe this Paraguay team is bad, and people are getting their hopes up for the U.S. just doing what they should do against a bad team. And it's still very possible Paraguay is a bad team. I mean, the United States controlled this game, 65% possession compared to the 35 for Paraguay. 16 total shots for the U.S. in this game compared to Paraguay's 9. Paraguay also had 9 touches in the opposition box. The United States had 53. It was a dominant performance from the U.S. Now, second half, big question here. Christian Pulisic gets subbed off at halftime for Sebastian Berhalter. Nobody knows why. I'm literally recording this as the game ends. We were told that Pochettino will talk about it in postgame. Why wouldn't we just say he's fine if he's fine? That's a little worrying, but I guess we'll get there when we get there. I find it hard to believe he would be injured, but I guess anything's possible. It would be Mauricio scoring in the 73rd minute for Paraguay to get at least a goal back, and then in stoppage time, it would be Gio Reyna off a brilliant build-up. I will say it was like a brilliant 20-pass build-up to get to Reyna, put it in the back of the net. It's 4-1, and that was basically your last play of the game. I'm very impressed by this U.S. team. I know there were a lot of questions coming into this tournament, and I'm not going to say they answered all of them today because Paraguay might not be good, and again, this group might not be great, so they may have more games like this against Australia and Turkey. And it truly doesn't matter until you're playing in the knockouts and you are playing against like truly tough competitions, like your Englands, your Spains, your Frances, your Germanys. How is that going to develop? I don't know. Is this the peak for the U.S. team? Who knows? Are they just getting started? Again, who knows? It's what this whole tournament is here to develop. I'm going to be interested to see how this team develops because it looks like they have the pieces to be quite good. Now, I'm not saying, win the tournament good. I'm saying make a run to the quarterfinals and maybe get lucky on a few bounces and potentially make a semifinal. I'm not going that far. I will stick with the quarterfinal. But this U.S. team controls its destiny, as dumb as that seems to say. As long as they keep playing like they did against Paraguay tonight, they can go far in this tournament. A home tournament, it would be incredible, but we will have to see how that plays out. Interestingly enough, in this game, there was and I didn't realize this was reviewable, there was a foul committed by Tim Ream on Miguel Almirón right around the 50th minute. Tim Ream was given the yellow card. As Paraguay lined up to take the free kick, the whistle blew and we did a VAR check on a potential mistaken identity or something like that. So I guess now we can VAR challenge basically flops. I know they call it simulation, but I did not realize this. Tim Ream got his yellow card canceled. It was given to Miguel Almirón because there was no contact there. Miggy went down, basically flopping to get a free kick there. So that's something new for me. I did not realize that. But overall, I would say in these first 3 games, I'm honestly most impressed by what Bosnia did today. I know I shouldn't be because they just draw games, so maybe that's on me. Second would probably be the U.S. and then Mexico. If we look at our losers here, in a ranking of how I feel like I've seen them play, I would put Canada as the highest of the losers, even though they didn't lose. I would then put Paraguay and then South Africa, because South Africa looked awful yesterday, like truly, like bad. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So that is going to wrap it up for World Cup recap of day 2 of the World Cup. So thank you so much for watching. If you just stumbled across the Nick Bird Sports Network, we are here fully for the World Cup. We'll be back tomorrow morning previewing all 4 matches tomorrow, our first true full day of World Cup action. So make sure you tune into that. Click like if you like the video. Click the subscribe button just to make sure you always see these videos. Make sure you follow at NickBird13 on X/Twitter. That is where your previews will be prior to every game, hour before kickoff. Short form, much shorter than what will get posted tomorrow. So make sure you tune into that. So thank you so much for watching. We will see you again soon for another episode here on the Nick Bird Sports Network.